Our story begins with Chris, a talented photographer, preparing for a momentous trip, meeting his white girlfriend Rose's family for the first time. Despite Rose's reassurances, a quiet unease gnaws at Chris, a feeling he can't quite shake. The journey takes an abrupt turn when a deer suddenly bolts into the road, causing a violent collision. A police officer, arriving on the scene, demands Chris's ID, overlooking Rose's involvement, a small but unsettling sign of what's to come. After the unsettling incident, they finally arrive at Rose's sprawling, isolated family estate. Rose's father, Dean, greets them with an overly enthusiastic welcome, attempting to mask a palpable awkwardness that fills the air. As Chris explores the house, he encounters the family's black housekeeper, Georgina, and groundskeeper Walter. Their demeanor is strangely subservient, their smiles unsettlingly fixed, hinting at a deeper, disturbing reality beneath the surface. Later, during a stilted tea party in the yard, Rose's family barrages Chris with intrusive, racially charged questions, disguised as polite conversation. The forced pleasantries only intensify Chris's growing discomfort. That evening, Rose's younger brother, Jeremy, arrives, adding another layer of tension. His aggressive, racist remarks during dinner create an unbearable atmosphere, leaving Chris feeling increasingly isolated and targeted. Unable to sleep, Chris steps outside for a smoke. He sees Georgina staring blankly out a window and Walter sprinting erratically in the darkness, their behavior confirming his suspicions that something is deeply wrong. Returning inside, Chris finds Rose's mother, Missy, waiting, a psychiatrist. She insists on helping Chris with his past trauma. As she stirs her teacup, the rhythmic clinking sound induces a hypnotic trance, pulling Chris into a terrifying void. Chris awakens in his bed, disoriented. The next day, he begins documenting the strange occurrences with his camera, hoping to find answers. He approaches Walter, the groundskeeper, who suddenly snaps out of his trance-like state. Walter, briefly lucid, warns Chris to get out before his eyes regain their vacant stare. This brief moment of clarity sends a jolt of terror through Chris, confirming his worst fears. Soon, the estate fills with white guests for the family's annual party, overwhelming Chris with their intense, scrutinizing gazes. He feels like an exhibit, not a guest. Amidst the sea of white faces, Chris spots another black guest, Logan. But something feels off. Logan's mannerisms and speech are eerily similar to those of Georgina and Walter, a disturbing pattern emerging. As Chris tries to process the mounting oddities, the guests continue to stare, their smiles unwavering, their attention unnervingly fixed on him. The atmosphere grows heavy with unspoken menace. Disturbed, Chris calls his friend Rod, a TSA agent, to share his fears. As he speaks, Georgina approaches, her face contorting through a terrifying mix of tears and laughter, a chilling display of a mind in torment. Missy quickly intervenes, calming Georgina with a snap of her fingers, further solidifying Chris's suspicion of her manipulative power. He confronts Rose, who feigns understanding but offers no real comfort. While Chris and Rose are away, the guests gather for a sinister auction, with Chris as the unspoken prize. His fate is being decided, unbeknownst to him, in a chilling display of dehumanization. Later, packing his bags, Chris realizes Logan is actually Andre Hayworth, a missing singer. This revelation connects all the strange pieces, confirming a sinister pattern of disappearances and replacements. In Rose's closet, Chris discovers a box of photos. Rose with multiple black partners, including Georgina and Walter. Rose isn't just dating him. She's a predator, luring victims for her family's horrifying scheme. As Chris tries to escape, Rose's family converges, their friendly facade crumbling to reveal their true, menacing intentions. Their words are laced with chilling threats, signaling the end of his freedom. Missy, with her hypnotic powers, once again forces Chris into a trance, plunging him back into the abyss of the sunken place, a mental prison where he is powerless. Meanwhile, Rod, growing increasingly worried about Chris's sudden silence, frantically searches online for any sign of his friend, a desperate race against time. Chris awakens, bound and gagged in the family's chilling basement. A vintage promotional video plays, featuring Rose's ancestor explaining the horrifying coagula procedure, transplanting a white brain into a black body. Simultaneously, Rod attempts to report Chris missing, but the police dismiss his fantastical story, laughing off his claims of a sex slave ring, leaving Chris's fate in his own hands. Chris is brought back to lucidity for a final video call, where a blind art dealer reveals his plan to inhabit Chris's body. The terrifying truth of the family's operation, the body snatching, finally clicks into place. Rose's father and brother prepare for the surgery, the ultimate violation. Chris is placed back into a trance, his mind seemingly ready to be transferred, his identity erased. But Chris, in a desperate act of defiance, had secretly plugged his ears with cotton from his chair. He breaks free, surprising Jeremy, and violently attacks him, turning the tables on his captors. Fueled by adrenaline, Chris escapes the basement, killing Dean in a brutal struggle. The house, once a trap, becomes a battlefield as he fights for his life. He then confronts Missy, using a mounted deer head to impale her. A grim reversal of her family's hunting analogy. The architect of his torment meets a swift, brutal end. Chris attempts to flee in Rose's car, but crashes into Walter, the groundskeeper. Unable to leave him, Chris pulls Walter into the car, only to realize Walter's body is no longer his own. Rose, the true mastermind, appears and shoots Chris. As Walter attacks Chris, Chris uses his phone's camera flash, a powerful trigger that momentarily frees Walter's original mind. In a moment of clarity, Walter shoots Rose, then turns the gun on himself, ending his own nightmare. Chris is left stunned, witnessing the tragic consequences of the family's horrific game. Just as Rose's brother, Jeremy, reappears to finish him off, Rod, Chris's friend, arrives in his TSA vehicle, saving Chris just in time. Chris finally escapes, leaving the nightmare behind. Get Out is more than a horror film. It's a chilling commentary on racial appropriation and the insidious nature of systemic racism. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, leaving a lasting, unsettling impression long after the credits roll.